as you know, that I combine the Eastern practices and the Western body mind practices,
which is
Eastern wisdom.
yeah.
So, how does that resonate with you? How does my approach resonate with you?
Well, I think that that's what it probably attracted me to you in the first place, was the blend of the Eastern and Western sort of approaches, because being someone who's trained in, my PhD is in counseling psychology, and I've studied, philosophy, and I've studied even spiritual traditions such as Buddhism and Sufism, and even like Christianity, and reading things from all different perspectives. But again, never being in a position, not never, but to come across whether it's a midlife crisis or the challenges of losing a loved one, and like your mother, and kind of going through those things. I really felt like I wasn't able to, like, on my own, alleviate the pain and the struggle I was going through. And I knew something a little bit of here and there. And there's a saying, the jack of all trades and the master of none. And so I needed some way to kind of pull these ideas and these practices together in a way that could help me. And having, been raised as a Christian, in the church, but also reading and experiencing and engaging in practices of Buddhism when I was younger, and periodically along the way, and breathing and meditation and yoga and those kinds of things. You helped me sort of like start with the basics of breath, and from breath into visualizing my inner body, and doing it in ways that allowed to look at it from a Tao, from a Tantric, from these different ways of thinking that was also in line with my Western, culture that I'm very much a part of. And the other piece I think is also important to remember too, that if you when I first started working with you, is that, as a Black man in America, race is something that I experience, you know, quite regularly, right? Racism, anti-Black racism. And it's something that I've studied myself and in my work and the way I teach and that kind of thing. So I knew that I couldn't ignore like what's known as Black invisibility, right? The idea that as a Black person, as a human being, as a Black man, as a Black person, according to Western, thought and ideology, I really don't exist or shouldn't exist, or I exist in a way that is invisible. And even though I'm very privileged as a man and as a Westerner and educated and all those kinds of things, I know that my healing and the growth that I needed to attain had to account and adjust that in some kind of a way. And, we talked about that, and you mentioned that you hadn't really had experience with it, but that you would be open to helping me in that, in guiding my growth along the way. And I got to say that just by blending in Eastern and Western perspectives, it allowed me to, maneuver through and not get stuck in ways that normally, if I were to go to a typical American psychologist or therapist, or even a traditional Eastern philosopher, Eastern, that doesn't see my humanity or the struggles that I carry. And so that was very helpful for me to bring my own healing, right, to combine with what you did, what you brought. The blend, I think, is very important. I just want to mention that.
Yeah, well, thank you.